Berg Boys, episode 28. Here we go. I'm Jeremy Greenwood, going to be your host this evening. Got quite a itinerary for everybody here. It could lead to some good discussion, some disagreement, some different opinions, which is what we want. One thing to make note of, I don't think it's beneficial or anything, but we just kind of discussed it earlier a little bit. Maybe going to every other week, and I know Mike, you didn't really say anything to that, but what do you think about that off the top of your head? Just with less, our biggest thing. I mean, our biggest thing's been Packers, right? And it's off season and summer's coming.
Yeah, we'll see where the wind takes us, right?
All right, but yeah, I mean, just keep that in mind. If we're 2 weeks away, we went to every other week. So, all right. Well, here's a little twist to the normal question we start with. I'm interested in one, how your guys this past week went, and then two, something you're looking forward to this next week. And Christopher, I think we'll start with you this week. Go ahead.
Yeah. So weekend, it was weather was pretty crappy here. It's actually supposed to snow tonight.
Come on.
So, yeah. It's Mother's Day. It was about 45 degrees and raining all day. Same thing today. Actually, the sun just peaked out for the first time in like 3 days, which is unusual out here. And then tonight and tomorrow it's supposed to snow. So we got that going for us. But the weekend, the weather wasn't very cooperative, so kind of just hung out inside. Weekends are kind of my day to chill and relax and spend a lot of time with Cash, and so that way Alexis can get some stuff done. And so me and Cash Money just kind of do our thing. We the highlight of the weekend was on Saturday night. We were going to go to Culver's, which is usually a staple in Cash and I's diet, and right next to Culver's is an IHOP. And so I asked Cash if he wanted to go to IHOP. He has no clue what it is, but he said, yeah. So we go rolling in, and I say, what do you want to eat? And he says, pancakes. I said, okay, anything else? And he says, sausage. I said, okay, anything else? And he wanted apple juice, and he listed off a bunch of things. And so I got him a Mickey Mouse pancake. It was, just normal pancake size, chocolate chips, whipped cream, all that stuff. 2 sausage links, 2 scrambled eggs, and he went through that like it was nothing. And then I'm still eating. I got 4 pancakes. 4. It was called the Sweet 16 or something. It was 4, 4, 4, and 4. So it was 4 pancakes.
Jesus. Oh my God.
4 pancakes, 4 scrambled eggs, 4 sausage links, and 4 pieces of bacon. And I ate everything, and I'm working on my pancakes, and here comes Cash finishing all his, and now he wants some of mine. So he actually had like 5 bites of my pancakes too. So I've never seen him eat that much ever before. And then of course the rest of the night and all the next day, all he wanted to do was go to IHOP. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it was fun just to be eating breakfast for dinner. It was like 7 o'clock at night, and we're just me and him just chilling, eating IHOP. But then Sunday, just spent it, with Alexis for Mother's Day and her mom and her grandma, and just kind of hung out and had some good food. And it was, like I said, it was rainy, so we just hung out inside pretty much all day. And that was pretty much the weekend. And I guess to answer the second question, what I'm looking forward to this week is, I guess honestly, we start finals next week already. We're done. Our students are done out here the 24th or 25th. That Tuesday is their last day of finals. So they start finals actually next week. And so this week in our strength class, we're doing our max outs. And so that's what I'm looking forward to this week, is seeing what our kids put up for numbers to see their improvement from the last time we tested out, which was right around spring break. So it'll be interesting to see how their numbers are for all our testing in the weight room.
Okay. And so where does that leave you football wise with Legend? When would summer workouts be for football?
So normally in Colorado, you get 10 spring practices. So that it could can start. Usually most coaches start at the end of May to allow their spring athletes time to finish their spring sports. And what it is it's 10 days to use it however you want, but you can use equipment. So you can use pads. And you have to do the acclimation. So you have to start with helmets, then helmets and shoulder pads, then helmet, shoulder pads, and full pads. And then you can contact like on day 5. So historically, what most teams do is they do 5 practices just with their own team, and then they go to a team camp. So like we went to the University of Northern Colorado 2 years ago, and there was like, 10 different schools there. You stay in the dorms, you stay there all weekend, and you basically are just scrimmaging teams the whole weekend. And it's a grind, but it's a lot of fun to compete against schools you normally don't. And it's just the team in the dorm room. So the kids bring all their video game stuff, and it's just kind of cool. It's a cool bonding experience. But this year, because of the split season, because some teams chose the fall and some chose the spring, CHSAA decided not to do that because of the teams that literally just finished. Well, actually, I think the last round of playoffs is actually this weekend for the spring season. So for them to turn around in 2 weeks and start spring ball, it's just not going to work. So what they're doing instead is they're allowing us to practice all summer long with helmets only. And then they're giving an additional week in the fall for acclimation. So they're going to give us 3 weeks of prep before the first game instead of 2. So that was kind of their way to let the spring kids recover, but yet still have an even playing field for everybody. So that's kind of where we're at. So we're going to start out here June 1st.
Sounds like a lot of football. Regardless there. Matt, what's up with you, buddy?
Not too much, fellas. This past weekend went home to Reedsburg. Sarah had her bridal shower on Saturday. And so Saturday it was me, my dad, me and Mike's dad, and old Hank. We went fishing. I know I sent you guys some snaps. Hank ended up catching 8 fish. He almost caught a huge bass at Planky's. And my dad accidentally said a swear word that Hank repeated, and we had to learn how to say shoot instead of the other one. And but after that, we just kind of hung out. We went asparagus hunting, but couldn't find much because the frost hit it pretty good the night before. Hank, I think, drove. I don't know if that was his first time. Mike could probably say that, but we Papa Mike let him drive, and he was having a blast with that. And then after that, I just kind of hung out. Pretty much everyone after the brow shower, like all of our high school friends, kind of hung out. I checked out that new bar, Kessler's Vault.
Oh, you did?
Kessler's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty nice. I don't know if you guys were in there when it was like the wine bar or whatever it was called before that. But pretty much the same setup. Super nice though in there. So yeah, I just kind of hung out, and then yesterday was mostly unpacking, figuring out what to do with all the stuff that we got. And I think right now, Sarah's doing her thank you letter. So hopefully I can get out of that clean free. The second part of the question. One thing I'm looking forward to. Next weekend is actually one of the few weekends that we do not have anything to do.
Nice.
So until the wedding, I should say. So we'll see what happens. We don't really have any plans.
Nice cup of cocoa.
No, not in the summertime. Not in the
Hopefully a
try to find
thunderstorm.
some big boomers.
Yeah. That's next week. We got some rain, I think, in the forecast.
Yeah.
So hopefully then.
So next week we're going to hear you say that it was a pretty low key weekend, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
No football on though. So
yeah, usually it's like football season. I don't do anything on the weekends, and then I feel like spring, summer is packed. That's probably everybody.
Yeah, that's true. Mike, how about you?
yeah, pretty. I was not home in Reedsburg. I had to stick back here in Ashland to work. We had 2 softball games here at Northland College on Friday, and then we had 2 baseball games on Saturday that I had to work. And then I also have a kind of a newer position that I'm going to be working at this summer. Now the golf course manager here at the Schwamingen Bay Golf Club. So a little summer job. If anybody needs any any new golf equipment, or if anybody's in the area to get some golfing, please ask for Mike at 715-682-8004. Little plug there for the old Schwamigan Bay. We didn't do too much Sunday, and the kids got back really late the other night. But honestly, the only thing I'm really looking forward to this week, the weather here. Did you like that, Jeremy, or what? No, honestly, the only thing I'm like, the weather up here lately has just been horrendous. Like today, I think it was like a high of like 47. Just a big time northeast wind coming right off the lake the last like week and a half. So it's supposed to get up to like 62, big time. Nice weather tomorrow.
So, but that makes your job as golf course manager pretty easy if nobody's on the course, right?
Surprise, like people are really itching to golf, and like we've talked about this a little bit. Like last year, I think like with COVID, like we had a phenomenal year last year at the course. I worked there last year too, or last few years now.
Yeah.
But like I mean, you guys know this too. Like there wasn't really anything going on. So like I think like for a lot of people, like golf was new, or maybe they never golfed, and then last summer they liked it, and they're going to continue to keep doing it. So surprising. Like even today, like we were fairly steady today too, which is nice.
Okay, what about this coming week? Looking forward to anything?
Weather. Already said
the weather.
That.
You did? Okay. Yeah. Well, F me. All right. Well, for me, I guess, this past weekend I went, me and my family and I like to go to the Wanakee garage sales. And we went there, and it's always interesting. Like it was just,
what is that?
It's just like this known thing that Wanakee garage sales are really nice, I guess.
Yep. It's a citywide garage sale, and it's been going on forever. Because when I was in Stoughton, that was when I first heard about it. No, I think it was actually Mr. Warner. I think Mr. Warner, the math teacher at the high school, was the first one that told me about it. And then when I was at Stoughton, I went. It's nuts. It's awesome.
Yeah. And we went on Friday, and it was open from Wednesday to like Saturday. So we got.
So you're getting all the scraps.
Yeah. But it's more so like my mom likes to do it, and whatnot like that. And you see all this Wanakee apparel, and things run through your mind like, oh, what I could do a few things with that, start a fire, or whatever it may be. No, that's pretty much it. Woke up early Saturday and Sunday each to take my mom to Starbucks for Mother's Day, but I couldn't go to our Mother's Day thing yesterday because Pirates practice. There's a big youth movement going on there, guys. We can talk about that later. Even more so than last year, Rosh.
Wow.
But this coming week, me and two other families, the Olsons and the Maxfields, we kind of do this wild weekend every year, and it usually involves Minnesota Wild. We catch a game down there at the Excel Center in St. Paul. But this year, a couple of them couldn't make it, so we didn't catch a game, and COVID, all that stuff. So just gonna go hang out a little bit, have a good time with some buddies. And also, I wanted to share with you guys. I didn't share this yet. Can koozies.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Nice.
So we are out of the gift certificates from Knucklehead. So we got a couple of these we could give away. I'll send you guys some in the mail, of course. Also, if you ordered apparel, I believe that's coming this week, right, Rosh?
I think so, yeah.
So, okay. We'll move on from the intros to this is something that we talked about throughout the week, guys. And I don't know who sent it. I think it was you, Chris. The question is what's the hardest sport to win in a major championship? So with that being said, let's consider MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, right? And I don't know who wants to start with this, but I think the main debate was NBA and NFL, like which one's harder. And you got professional athletes and their takes each way. And Mike, what's your take on all this to start?
Yeah, well, I'm the one that, and we posted. I think we posted this on our Facebook page too. But I was the one that sent it to you guys. Like,
Okay.
I think it was Perkins from First Take
Yeah.
on the ESPN or whatever that said
Yeah.
like basketball is way harder to win than NFL, and I would say maybe I'm a little biased. I don't think either of them are the hardest. Like for me, 150%, it's hockey. Hockey is by far the hardest championship to win. You are grinding. There's no nights off. Everybody plays almost every unless you have a broken leg in hockey, you are playing 82 games. And with hockey and playoffs, like obviously the intensity rises, but it's not like we talked about this as well. Like you could have an 8 seed versus a 1 seed, where in the NBA, like how often does an 8 seed ever come close to beating a 1 seed? It doesn't. It like it's happened.
Yeah.
But it's not likely at all. So like there's way more of a grind in the NHL playoffs. The intensity I feel is way higher throughout the entire playoffs. Whereas like the NBA, maybe it's like the conference finals. Like that's really where I start watching basketball, is like conference finals and then NBA. Like I don't pay attention. Like and also in the NBA, you have like LeBron James that will take off like 3 weeks, like stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Football, I think, is close. But yeah, I guess for me, like I just was completely shocked that like somebody would honestly think basketball is over football. And then obviously I think hockey is by far number one.
Well, I guess I'll jump in too. You know, in basketball, you got like this group of teams that are most likely going to win it. You know, like 4 or 5 teams usually every year. Those are the teams and the only teams that are going to win it. Whereas, like as you said, Mike, NHL, you just got to get in the playoffs. You got to get a hot goalie. And this is where my opinion comes in. I think you got to have a coach who can make adjustments and changes on lines. That's a good question, Anna. We'll do that next. Also, my opinion is the coaching thing. It may be harder for an NFL team to win a championship because it's one game, right?
Yeah.
At a time. Whereas sometimes you got days in between games in a series in the NHL where you can do some adjustments. You can do some game planning. You can make changes to a power play or a penalty kill, or if your goalie's struggling, you can take him out for the next game, whatever it may be. But Matt, go ahead and give your thoughts.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys here, and obviously it might be a little biased, but I'll just kind of rank them quick and then tell you my reasoning. So I'd say NHL's 1, MLB's 2, NFL 3, NBA last. Just because
I agree completely.
I just think, and I know we talked about it, how I know me and Rosh said it maybe, how, you know, just comparing between football and basketball, you need 11 guys on football that you did, or sorry, 11 guys on each side of the ball to depend on. But the reason why I have NHL 1, MLB 2 is because, you know, you can make or break a team or a championship with, let's say, a hot goalie, a bad goalie.
Yeah.
And same with baseball. You know, if you run into, you know, because they have those gaps in days, you know, usually your number one guy is going to pitch probably twice in a series.
Yeah.
So, you know, that could potentially be 2 automatic wins right there.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if your ace, you know, is struggling, there's your season maybe. So that's kind of why I have those 2. And just kind of lastly about the NBA, like, it's just so much harder to create these super teams on like, NHL.
That's
MLB.
a good point.
You know, it's way harder, and it doesn't seem to happen. Where NBA, you know, you can probably swindle it, and that's kind of why, me personally, you know, the NBA is just, you know, not very fun to watch because you, like you said, Jigrin, you have those 3-4 teams that obviously are going to be in the mix every year.
I honestly don't know anybody that's like glued into regular season NBA games. I don't know a single person.
And unless you're gambling.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's about
like,
it. You know,
I don't know anybody that's like, man, I hope the Bucks beat the Pacers tonight. Like nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, my thought on it is I have NBA dead last. I mean, I listed some other sports that I actually have above the NBA even. ultimate frisbee, sand volleyball, professional bowling association, cornhole, axe throwing, and cricket. I have all above.
There might be some pissed off people.
Oh boy.
We already crossed the line.
Well, that's fine. That's fine, because let's look at the Nets here. Okay. They have Irving, Durant, and then James Harden literally eats 75 cheeseburgers, puts on 40 pounds, starts crying.
Doesn't work out all summer.
Yeah, he starts crying, and he forces a trade. And not only forces a trade, but it happens to be to a stacked team already.
Yeah.
Then Blake Griffin. Okay. Oh, I'm playing for a losing team. Can you please just release me so I can sign with whoever I want? Oh, I'm gonna sign with the Nets. So now they have 5 all pros or what, all stars or whatever the heck you call them on one team when only 5 play. Now you might need 8. I get it. You need guys off the bench, but like, to me, the NBA is the easiest way to manipulate rosters of all the major sports. Like, I'm telling you right now, if a guy in the NHL starts crying and whining, you know what the owners and the teams are going to say? Dude, suck it up and keep playing.
Well, a prime example of that is, and I don't know how much you guys pay attention, like Jack Eichel in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like, he's a superstar. He's not going anywhere.
No.
No way they're going to trade him.
And you don't hear about it in the MLB either, right? Yeah. I mean, you don't hear about it much there. I mean, the NBA to me, and I'm not trying to bash basketball at all. I like basketball. I just really don't like the NBA. I love college basketball. I like March Madness. That's awesome. I don't like the NBA. The rules are just ridiculous. Like Luka Doncic last night, like kind of swung his arm and hit a dude in the stomach, like not throwing a punch, just kind of swung his arm and he got ejected from the game. And it's just like, everything's a foul and it's just a nightmare. But in terms of like difficulty, I have NHL, NFL, MLB, NBA. That's my order. The reason I have MLB lower is because of the ace factor. In a 5 or a 7 game series, your ace, if you have 2 studs on your staff, they're going to throw 4 of the 7 games. You know what I'm saying? So like, if they're hot, that's you don't need your full roster basically. Your 6 through 9 hitters could suck as long as your 1 through 5 do well and your aces do well. Where like I think the NFL is difficult because it's a 53-man roster and you darn near need 35 dudes. You need 22 starters and then your special teamers. And NHL I think is more so than the NFL just because of the grind of the length of the season. NHL, you're playing usually 80 some regular season, 82 I think is that what it is usually regular season games. And then you're going into a series of playoffs where it's not just one game, it's a multiple games each series. That's just a grind, and that's why I think that's harder, opposed to the NFL, where if you get that core nucleus of players to return every year, like what the Patriots did for a while there, and what the Chiefs are doing now, you're going to put yourself in a good position. But the Chiefs are by far the favorite all year, and they didn't win it, and so it's. I don't know. That's just my take. I think the fact that only 5 people start and the super teams are just so easy to create. To me, winning a championship in the NBA just isn't that difficult.
I'll go ahead.
If anybody truly thinks the NBA is the hardest, like, please get on our show or tell us. Like, I'd love to talk to somebody.
I'll say this about the NBA is Toronto Raptors won it last year, right? Or 2 years ago, whatever it was.
2 years.
Nobody expected them to. There are situations that come up where players like
or you have the Heat last year.
Yeah.
Like the Heat had a little run, but
we're certainly not trying to just destroy it, but at the same time, it's just became so annoying, I think, to all of us lately that like we just don't care. To put it bluntly, as well. So to go back to Anna Krajewski, we got a number of questions here, and I appreciate everybody chiming in. National championship or professional? What is harder?
I think it's national championship for me because you get a new guys every year that need to glue together. Compared to NHL, you can have guys on a team for a while, but me personally, I think it's a national championship.
Yeah, in terms of football, Anna, I would say that like it almost turns into, well, who's going to beat Alabama, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
like,
Yeah.
And being whoever, I don't even care who it is as long as they beat Alabama at this point. And so like it turns into also for NBA. I'll say it for NBA too. Like I'm cheering for these teams that are heavy favored to lose. You know,
and I
like,
think, like I said there, I think it also depends the sport too. Like I totally was not even thinking about football. I was thinking of hockey for some reason for college compared to pro. But yeah, I would agree. Football might be easier college wise, just based on your fact that you said Bama. I wasn't even thinking that.
Right. But yeah. What about you guys? What do you think?
But then you look at basketball too, where in a normal year it's usually the blue bloods who end up winning. It's the Duke, the North Carolinas, the Kansas teams like that as well. So yeah, I think it kind of depends on the sport maybe a little bit, but I would say a professional would be harder in my opinion.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm with them. I think pros is a little bit harder just because of the recruitment factor. Pro teams can't. I mean, they can draft their guys, they can sign free agents, but your hands are tied money wise and things like that. Where college, you can recruit your kids, you can build that staff, once you establish yourself, like in Alabama in football or a UNC Duke in basketball, once you establish yourself and you get the top dogs in the country, you just keep that thing rolling. Where the NFL, because of salary cap restrictions or because of retirements or because of winding quarterbacks that wear 12, situations happen, and it can dictate the entire team, where that doesn't really happen too much in college. So I would definitely say the pros is harder, at least in terms of basketball, hockey, football. Some of the other sports, it's probably harder in college, but those big ones, I mean, that's what I would say.
We'll move forward here from that. Good question, though, Anna. Which I think we could have a bigger conversation about down the road too, potentially. So I think we'll jump into Badgers Brewers here next, and Matt's got a little bit for us. But I want to acknowledge Greg Gilmore's comments here. And
we'll get to it.
I just want to say, like, I see what you're saying, and I don't appreciate it. And quite frankly, Mike brought your name up to be a guest on here. You're not helping the cause here, man. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of do a quick recap. Brewers obviously started hot. Last week was kind of tough for them. Got swept by the Phillies 4 games, but all games were 1-run games. And I think the common theme that series was giving up the old grand slam. If I'm not mistaken, I think 3 out of the 4 games they gave up a grand slam. All 1-run games besides the last one, they lost by 2. Luckily enough, they bounced back. Took 2 out of 3 against Miami, the Marlins. And so, hopefully they can keep it going, get healthy, and kind of keep going where they're going. The Cardinals, I think, are in first place right now. And kind of my only little Badger nugget here. Barry Alvarez's retirement was pretty short-lived. The 74-year-old, he's heading to work for the Big Ten network, or not the network, sorry, the Big Ten. He's going to be kind of like the liaison between the coaches and the Big Ten. And for those that don't know him, he was part of the first college football playoff committee, and he's been pretty strong about expanding it to 8 teams. And I personally,
it should be like 32. Just throw like 16 at least.
Well, I think 8 is gonna happen. I don't think it's too far. I know they're gonna be voting on it. I think in July or something. I was reading today. But what the kind of thing that they said was they'll take the conference winner, and then you'll have 3 at-large bids. And they said they might have one bid become what do they call the power? Not the Power 5. What's the kind of smaller conferences called?
Like FCS?
No.
Or are you talking
like the UCFs and like the
okay, yeah.
you know what I'm talking like, so they might have one of those teams. They haven't decided yet, but I think it's a real possibility that it'll go to 8. 16 might be a stretch, but I think first they'll go to 8, and I think they're going to see how that one goes for a little bit. Just because they want to get those conference winners in. It seems like at 4 you're obviously never going to do that. You're always going to have. It seems like 2 SEC teams, Big Ten, ACC. That's about it. But yeah, those are my 2 nuggets. Barry Alvarez, obviously, if, he might make it 2 months retired, and then like Raj said before, he just can't sit still.
Yeah, like what the guy has. I'm just shocked that he's like wants to keep doing this.
I don't know.
Something like he's made good money. Like just relax.
Yeah, agreed.
I'd agree with that comment too. Greg says to expand it like the double A did. That's like North Dakota State, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. And again, that's something we're going to continue to touch on. I think there's been more of a push for it recently than before. And I guess I don't understand why you can't just continue to make the semis, like bowl games in themselves too, for advertisement reasons and all that. But
we talked about it too, how the NCAA is just a money grabber. Obviously, I think we've mentioned it before on this, but there's your perfect opportunity to have 2 more games. Get that money, NCAA.
Yeah, that's true.
Since I work for the NCAA,
I'll be better not comment.
So pretty big big news from our neighbors in Minnesota, specifically the wide receiver Adam Thielen made a comment. Specifically, and I'm not going to quote it because I don't know the quote, but basically he said that he was basically, in my opinion, not saying very nice words about Lambeau Field, is the way I took it. And he backtracked a little bit today, stating that it's his favorite place to play at. And Chris, we'll let you start here because I see you're biting the bit to say something, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, he got so much backlash from so many different NFL players yesterday on Twitter that he's retracing his steps now because he can't man up to what he truly believes, and that's that he thought Lambeau is a crap hole. He said that he made a comment that they still have bleachers. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Like it's a stadium, like that bleachers are a thing, But I just can't believe he would think that. Like, I don't care if you hate Wisconsin. I don't care if you grew up in Chicago or whatever, and you grow up just hating Wisconsin. You have to feel some sort of way when you walk onto Lambeau Field. Like I hate the Red Sox and I hate the Cubs. But if I were to play baseball at Wrigley Field, I'm going to feel something. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just going to. Same thing with that Fenway. So the fact that he said those comments, first of all, I instantly hated him when he said that. That just because that's how we operate in Wisconsin. But then the second thing is when he retraced his steps today, the first thing is like, what a pansy.
Yeah, you got to double down on that, man.
At least man up and keep your word. Yeah. And be like, no, you know what? I do think it sucks, like at least. But not only did he say those things, but now he's like, oh, no, I'm just kidding. No, don't yell at me. I didn't say that.
The funny part was when Pat McAfee interviewed him today, he was saying that his wife, like he was showing his wife, and his wife was like, I love going to Lambeau. Like, why would you say that?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why that crap hole. There's what, a 40-year wait list to get season tickets. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Hey, me and Matt are on that list. A couple more years, we think. See, where are you in line, Chris?
Oh, I'm way down. I put Cash on the list now too, so he's on the list.
But I think like you. Do you get two tickets, right? Or how does that work?
I think if I remember correctly, I believe you can pick, like it's either 2 or 4, I think.
Yeah,
because it will stay in your family.
Yeah. It stays with you. But I put his name on the list anyways. Just you just never know. But I like Tina Sukup's comment there.
Yeah.
Great comment.
Yeah, hopefully
we are 15,000th in line.
Okay.
So if I did my math right, I think we'll have it when we're 60.
Okay.
So right when we retire. So
that's perfect. Mike says we're almost up soon.
Yeah. We got some years.
I thought wasn't it originally we were supposed to get it when we were like right now, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we'd have to ask mom and dad, but they were gonna get it right when you were born, and then they waited, I think, until I was, or one of the two. I don't remember. Something happened.
Yeah, either way, I mean, that's pretty funny. And really, Rosh, it's more just saying, well, guess what? I got my son on the list too, you know? So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And are any of you guys stockholders?
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
I missed out. I missed out. That was like a couple of years ago when they opened it up, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was a while ago because my grandpa, my mom's dad, as soon as they opened it up, he was right on it, and we have his certificate still, you know, and everything. It's pretty cool. He got it framed and everything, but that's just cool that Green Bay does that. You know,
Yeah,
not too many franchises can say that.
Well, I see Tammy Canal made a comment, and I just wanted to respond to it. NHL playoffs do start tomorrow, and the Blackhawks will not be there. Not a diss towards you, Mike, more a diss towards them. Moving forward to the Rodgers, Packers, scumbag, no sleep, Adam Schefter. Just an absolute weenie of a guy now. Like, what's the guy's deal? What's his deal?
He backtracked a little bit.
The guy's just he basically came out and said that this was all him.
Yeah.
This was all his doing, and that he didn't have any sources for releasing the information on draft day, right? Correct?
Yeah, and he pretty much said like, "Oh, it just so happened that it was, 3 hours before the draft. There was nothing behind it." And it's like, I think Rosh brought it up. Like, you're gonna get ratings, like. The only thing that sucked is, to me, the more I thought about it, like he was pretty much taking away the spotlight from some of these guys getting drafted.
Yeah.
Instead of the Packers picking that Stokes kid, they might have talked to him about him for maybe 2 minutes, and then they're like, well, how's he gonna what's gonna happen with Rodgers if he leaves, blah blah, so I don't know. That was just, I mean, obviously there's smoke to the fire like we talked about. Obviously there's something behind the scenes, but for him to release it 3 hours before the draft, like, and not say like, oh, that wasn't meant to be right before. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah. It's just a big old joke to him, like.
Oh yeah. Well then, yeah.
Well, I on the Rodgers thing, first with Schefter, I mean, ESPN and all these guys usually aren't like this. But they are media, right? And if we look at the news these days, I mean, whether it's Fox, CNN, whatever side you're on, I mean, it's just crazy, right? I mean, everyone's looking for the latest gossip or the latest rumor, and whoever comes up with the dirtiest stuff or the best stuff or the stuff that's gonna, cause issues is the person that gets more followers and more likes and. And that's his job, is to report things that he hears. And if he thinks I don't know what's going through his head. Don't get me wrong. I think the timing of it was horrible, but if he was trying to make a scene and make a situation occur, I mean, he definitely chose the right time, I guess. But, it just,
I won't, I mean, I won't say anything else about it. Like, obviously you guys know where I stand on it, but.
The most telling thing to me about the Rodgers situation, I was kind of hoping this would happen. I think all of us were too. You had James Jones, Kuhn, Adams actually talked about it a little bit today. Like it was kind of refreshing, honestly, to hear some of those guys talk. Like Kuhn mentioned, like he's optimistic, I would say, that Rodgers and the Packers are able to get this thing patched up, I would say.
Well, I mean, if you listen to the national media, they're running with, relationships over, Rodgers is gone. But if you actually listen to the guys that probably honestly talk to Rodgers, it's like, no, this can be fixed. I don't think it's that crazy that he would be back, obviously, but it depends who you're listening to, I guess. I watched ESPN today, and literally the first story on First Take and Good Morning, or well, I forgot what's before First Take, but literally the first one was Rodgers, and it's just like, yep, changing the channel. Like, not even gonna listen to it.
But playing to Lucas Tudo's question here and
Yeah, let's do that. Yep.
Playing a little worst case scenario, and it is as bad as the media is portraying it to be, which again, we don't think that, right? We don't believe it. We think he's going to be a Packer, but worst case scenario, he's not. Where do you guys think he's going, and what do you think we'll get in return if we were to trade him?
I think it would have to be like 3 first rounders and like four, like 2 or 3 players probably.
Yeah, the only hard thing with players is, our salary cap situation. So you'd have to find somebody that's still like a very good player that's like maybe still on their rookie contract. Because I mean, who are they talking about? Oh yeah, like the deal with San Fran, with like Jimmy G. It's like, well, if we take on his contract, we'd be in worse salary cap than we would if we had Rodgers.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's tough to say. I think the Dolphins, I think I mentioned saying that they have a ton of first round picks the next 2 years. But I mean, they're all in on Tua, it seems like. I personally, if it was just straight up, I would say I think we talked about Russell Wilson for Rodgers straight up, even though I don't even know how that works with salary wise, but
it's got to be close.
Yeah, I have no idea. So
well, here the thing is with the salary is I have some free time sometimes at school when I'm on my lunch. So I was just telling you that my tap baseball game doesn't work on the school Wi-Fi. So during lunch, if I don't have any grading to do, I kind of do some digging around. And even if we trade him, we still eat his salary for this year.
Yeah.
If it's after, so it's like I could be spitballing here, but it's like let's just call it 38 million is what we would eat right now in dead money. If we wait until after June 1st, it goes down to like 16 million. We would get back 16 million towards our cap is what I'm reading. So it's not as bad, right? But in terms of who we could trade for, the 2 teams that I'm actually seeing a ton recently are actually the Dolphins have reemerged because the report is, and this is all rumors, right? This is just analysts trying to be the first one to guess where he's going. They said 2022 first, a 2022 second, a 2023 first, and then Tua and some other player that I didn't recognize. Now, I'm not saying I would take that because I wouldn't, but and then the other team is the Broncos. And me being out here in Colorado, I've been hearing that every single day at school. I walk around with my Packers lanyard, and I never hear the end of it. And to be honest with you, the Broncos are actually set up in a pretty good position to make a trade if they wanted, because they do have first-round picks the next couple years, and they have some young talent on offense and defense that they could include in a trade. Whether it's one of their stud receivers or one of their stud defensive backs, or even a Bradley Chubb, who actually is being talked about as potentially being somebody in a trade package as well. So I could see that. And then there's one other team that I saw, and I'm trying to remember who it was, but they actually have 2 first-round picks next year. And it might have been the Dolphins, actually. No, it is the Dolphins, I think, that I was reading it. I think it was the Dolphins, and maybe the trade was 2 2022 first-round picks. And then I was thinking, like, holy crap, think of having 3 first-round picks in next year's draft, But the thing is regardless of how it goes down, it's going to suck if it does happen. But I don't want just draft picks in return. I want like an impact young player right out the gates that can help us now, because draft picks are so much wait and see. It's the Jay Green motto of just let it play out, just like trades. But getting an impact player right away would make it feel a little bit better. But to answer Greg's question, what do you guys think about that? Would you still want him to do well if he got traded to Denver?
Denver, yes.
See, and that's why,
as long as he's not in the NFC.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing, and that's why with the Broncos and the Dolphins, it's just like, well, It's like
Yeah.
I'd probably still cheer for him. I'd want him to do well. Not to say screw it to the Packers, but just because he's been a stud for us for so long. But
the other team that I find maybe interesting, I can't remember if you guys already talked about this, would be the Browns, because I think they have like the cap money available, and they obviously have I'm not sure what their pick situation is like, but I think that would maybe be an intriguing spot. Maybe if we were to make a trade with the Browns or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to answer your question, Lucas, from my perspective, literally anybody in the AFC minus the Patriots. You go over the New England. If Brady's, that's the only way they won those championships. So anywhere but New England. He leaves, they lose. That's just the way it is. So let's jump on to the next question. Groom has been
I can't wait for Greg's comment.
Yeah, let's go, Greg. You want to chirp? I'll give it back a little bit. But we were talking. I actually brought up the question. Sarah was at her bridal shower, right?
Yep.
How comes there's no groom party?
I mean, I've heard of like couple shower parties or whatever, but
yeah,
I just think
shower parties. What are you?
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say here. But I just think guys it might sound bad, but I just don't think they really, I guess, care. I don't know.
I'm right there with you, Matt. I think I
don't want to say anything that's going to offend anybody, but
no, that's my theory too. I honestly think that the women care more about that stuff. Same thing with the ceremony. At the end of the day, that's their thing for the most part. They get all excited and that's their day, and good for them. They deserve it. Don't get me wrong, but they also deserve the bridal shower if they want it. But I just feel like guys, for the most part, they got their bachelor party, and that's pretty much all they need or want.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, go ahead, Mike. I was just gonna laugh.
So a unique. They're not popular here in the U.S., but in Canada, they have what's called a stag.
A stay and go.
Stag and doe.
Oh,
stag and doe. Okay.
I'm gonna have to look that up. But anyways, it's a joint shower.
Yeah.
That they have. It's a big party.
I was gonna say, it seems like it's more of like, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like it's more like a party, than like a, I don't know, sit down open presents type thing.
Yeah, but you can get like what a lot, because I've been invited. I've never been to one, but I've been invited to a couple. That you can buy like raffle tickets, and then they have like, say like some of the prizes would be like a new 70-inch TV that you could like win if you bought like raffle tickets. So it's but like, and then all the money would go to like, obviously the bride and groom.
Okay.
But it's like more of like a big party, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
That's a good comment by Tina there. That's a good point.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Yes.
But my wife Annette, she did also mention that, because I talked to her about this because I wanted her opinion. She said that back in the old days that the men were quote unquote perceived to bring in like the money, and the women would then get showered with like plates and towels and all of this other stuff like that, which I thought was interesting. But I think what's interesting, because like now, like, so like, what was some of the stuff that you got this weekend, Matt? Like, I'm sure it all wasn't like plate. I'm sure like, wasn't some of the stuff like that you?
It was a lot of like, I guess, kitchen stuff. But yeah, I mean, we got some stuff. Like we got, our Aunt Lynette gave us like those like tailgate tents. Yeah, like so, like that. I actually got a speaker. The one of the few things that I put on kind of the registry. So I always want a speaker, so I got that. We got some like racking for storage down in our basement. So I mean, there was stuff that like obviously we're both going to use. But yeah, it was just a lot of kitchen stuff.
I'll
gladly take. I'm very appreciative of these gifts.
Right. I've had 3 sisters go through it, and they all just enjoy it so much. Can enjoy with their friends and opening the gifts, and I'm usually the one setting up and taking it down. So, but we
countdown to the bachelor party though. Where are we at for Nashville? The Bird Boys and a couple others will be in Nashville soon here.
The 24th. So if anyone wants to do that math of June,
I don't.
It's like a month and 14 days ish.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah.
We did have another question. I think we're going to save that for next week. If you guys are kind of feeling the same way there, guys. But
I don't even remember what it was.
Uncle Dean's question. You want to?
Oh.
You guys want to do that or no?
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
Yeah, let's do that.
Quick. We can do that quick.
Mike and Matt's uncle brought up a pretty good question. I think in terms of like NHL and hockey in general, and that is why is fighting allowed in hockey but not in other sports for say. And Uncle Dean, he's been a big supporter of us and is very, very active and commenting and chatting. And I guess it's a good question. And I think we'll start with you, Mike. I mean, you're probably the biggest hockey guy here, and what's your take on it? Why is hockey or fighting acceptable in hockey, but not really anywhere else?
That's honestly, I had to think about this before we jumped on. I don't know. Like obviously hockey's been around for so long. Back in the day, guys didn't have, they weren't wearing helmets and stuff too. So like a lot of the stuff would be, you'd have the fighting to, kind of protect like your leading goal scorer, like Wayne Gretzky, prime example. Like he fought a few times, but like he always would have that big tough guy to kind of defend him, let him do his stuff like around. It's just been involved with hockey for a long time now. But kind of in the NHL today, you see a lot less fighting. I mean, the NHL is kind of not banned it at all, but it's been obviously a lot less than obviously like last week. Was it Rangers versus Washington?
Yeah.
Caps, yeah.
We had that was old time hockey right there, just fights every 5 minutes or so. But it's kind of weird. Like you don't see it as much. Like you don't really have that big goon or enforcer. Like you still obviously have like the Tom Wilsons or guys like him that are a presence on the ice and that can scrap it as well. But it's just different too, because like at the NCAA level, I mean you'll get into scrums and stuff, but there's no 1v1 like just going at each other. And there's different like rules too. Like if you fight in college, you get you're kicked out of that game, and then it's usually the next game as well. Whereas in junior hockey now, it's if you fight during the game, you're just out for that game. Then obviously the NHL still has their 5 minutes for fighting, so 5-minute penalty, and then you're back to play. But I don't know. It's kind of weird that I guess maybe just because it's always been in hockey, like that would be why it's still.
I just feel acceptable. Like it kind of like makes guys like be accountable for their actions maybe a little bit too. Like you can't just go around just being a jackwagon and cross-checking guys in the back. Like if you're gonna do that, someone's gonna go toe to toe with you. But kind of I don't know why I thought about this, but could you imagine in the NFL just a wider? I mean, it's almost happened a couple times. A wide receiver and a DB just taking their helmets and just throwing haymakers at each other. Like
who was that? Was Andre Andre Rison?
Andre Johnson.
Yeah, that's
and was that? It wasn't Pac-Man Jones, was it?
No.
Won't surprise me.
Who was that?
And they were just throwing haymakers at each other.
Well, the one thing that I always laugh about when you see a football fight is they punch each other with helmets on.
Yeah,
like what are you doing? But to go to that question, I agree, Mike. I think part of it is the history of the game. I think two other things. One is a funny one, and one is more serious. The more serious one being, do you think it has to do with officials? When you think of an NBA game, you have 3 or 4 officials on a small basketball court where they can see and monitor everything. NFL, there's how many officials surrounding the players. Where NHL, the game is moving so quickly to back and forth, side to side, the officials can't see everything. And so when that cheap stuff happens, like Matt was talking about, the players know they can retaliate without the ref potentially seeing it. And if the ref does see it, okay, well, let's just fight and get it over with, sort of thing, maybe. And then my funny one is I think, maybe a reason fighting exists is because of Slapshot and the Hanson brothers. They set the bar, they set the tone. You don't see fighting in any other Hollywood movies and any other major sports. And so, you got the Hanson brothers, you have Goon with Stifler, and maybe that's what caused it.
And you guys have made fun of me about this. So I was not a fighter like when I played junior hockey at all. Like I won our Lady Bang Award for one year. It was like a league award. But
what's the Lady Bing, Mike?
It's the most sportsmanship award.
Yeah.
There's other factors that go into it too, but it's like most offensive, but you're a sportsman. But man, I was only in, like, even in AAA hockey, I was never in a fight. The only time I fought was it was a tryout that I had going into my 20-year-old year for junior hockey, and man, like it's like you don't like you almost black out, kind of like you don't even really know what you're doing. And that was like when I played junior, like that's when you went, like, you take your helmets off, you take your gloves off. Now it's more just like, nowadays it's just like scrumming and fighting, but like, yeah, it was. You can't even really explain the situation. Like it's crazy.
Didn't when you were at Marquette, didn't your junior team receive like fighting training?
Yeah, we did. Oh man, what was his name? I'll have to look at it. I'll have it in the next podcast. But
yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, we would legit do. It was part of like we would do other stuff as well. But like every Tuesday we would have. Because that's where it's not there anymore, but that's where Team USA, like men's and women's boxing, like that's where they trained, was in Marquette, Michigan. So like we would have their main guy like come and help us, like like he would just show us like where to hang on your jersey at, and like we would do like throw the jab, like do that stuff, like but yeah, which was really cool. But yeah, there's nothing more, I don't know, exhilarating maybe than getting in a hockey fight. I was only in one, so I just got a pretty good chuckle. I don't know if you guys saw Greg's comment, but that made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, it's a good point for sure. Absolutely,
we were just talking about that.
Yeah,
yeah.
But like Anson Carter, he's an analyst for NHL now. Really good forward. In the 2090s for the Rangers. I don't think he was in the 90s. Anyway, really good player. He said that, the fighting, and I remember him saying this, it helps prevent injuries, as ironic as it may sound. That standing up for somebody may save a cheap shot down the road.
Yeah.
And also that, like, it usually, aside from, the occasional team-on-team disagreements, you fight and then you move on. Like you fight and you fight. You don't. It's usually over, except for the dirt bags like Tom Wilson and But
yeah,
I just remember Anson Carter saying that it does prevent injuries by standing up for your teammates who you don't want to get hurt, like McDavid, who hasn't been protected and somehow still hasn't gotten hurt.
Well, when you're that fast, I don't think people can catch you to fight you.
That's true. That's true.
Last comment. For anybody that maybe isn't a huge NHL fan, tune in to Connor McDavid. He is by far the best player in the NHL right now. He is. I was literally listening to NHL radio when I was on my way to here. There's not another player in all of sports that are like him, because anytime you watch him, like he is next level good. He is by far the best hockey player on this planet right now. Try watching some Oilers games.
Yeah, I agree.
He's something else.
Yeah.
So, thanks for all the involvement in the chat. You too, Greg. Appreciate it, man. But let's we'll be. I think we'll be picking some NHL teams here again shortly too. We did that last year.
Yeah.
I don't remember who won, but I'm looking forward to the NHL playoffs, and I guess that's pretty much all we got for tonight, unless you guys got anything else.
No, the only thing I got is it's a big series today, and I thought they played tomorrow, but maybe it's just today between the Avalanche and the Golden Knights for who wins the West.
Oh yeah,
They play tonight.
Yeah, if the Avalanche win, then they win the West. If they lose, then the Knights get it. So it's kind of crazy that you play the whole season and it comes down to the one game. Not that it matters; they're both in the playoffs, but it's still, kind of breaking rights. And my Barstool Sports big bet is on the line. So go Avs.
All right, disagree, but everybody have a good week. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
See you guys.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, everybody.